Oh, shit.
Wait. What do you mean, oh, shit, you idiot? Good God.
Hey, guys, it's
idiot,
Kevin.
folks. Idiot. All right.
Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to finally be our review for the 6th episode of WandaVision. This is, of course, episode 6, all new Halloween Spooktacular. A lot of stuff went down in this episode. There's a lot of stuff here to talk about, but before we do get into it, I am, of course, joined by my co-host who already has the audacity to call me an idiot and might be fired from his job here. Here he is, FilmFan0599.
Job, you don't even pay me. Anyways.
Yes. But if I did, you would be fired.
Fuck you. All right, anywho. What's up, you guys? FilmFan0599 here again. Yes, we are here to talk about the latest episode of WandaVision, episode 6. This is the one I've been waiting for the most for obvious reasonings. And if we're just gonna kind of get right into it, I'll say it definitely did exceeded my expectations for it.
Mm-hmm.
I did very much enjoy this episode. This was a pretty great episode, in all honesty. Like you said, a lot did go down in this episode. There is a lot to talk about, especially towards the end of the episode. So overall I would say this is a pretty great episode. I quite enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, this episode for me definitely was another great one for sure. I think, every single week they're doing a great job of just giving us a little bit more of the piece of the puzzle of what's really going on here. And I think especially after this week's episode, I think we have a clear idea of where we really are headed in these last 3 episodes for sure. But we're just going to get into it right now. So the big thing I think to talk about in this episode, because I know that you were very excited for it, is that, of course, it is 90s themed. And the whole thing is done like, say, a Malcolm in the Middle type episode. And I will say it was very jarring starting out right off the bat. Can
I just say something real quick?
Yes.
I just find it funny that this is supposed to be a 90s themed episode, yet Malcolm in the Middle started in 2000. That's just that's just the hilarious thing about this, is that this is supposed to be a Malcolm in the Middle type episode.
Well, I think it's like the combination of both, I think, is what they were.
But I just do find it just a bit fun. I do find it just a bit funny that I know what they were shooting for, but it's just a bit funny. But anyways, but it's still, nonetheless, I still think they still captured of what they were trying to capture, and they did a great job of it.
Yeah, for sure. And the way we start things off with like Tommy and Billy narrating again, just so on point to what Malcolm in the Middle usually is. I really
the intro like it's like a very it was kind of like got this very 90s almost like pop punk kind of like type theme to it. It was great. Like I loved it a lot. And then you said, when Tommy is talking to the audience like Malcolm would in Malcolm in the Middle, it was great. I really loved it a lot. It really captured that show perfectly. And, it really captured the atmosphere of the 90s really, really well, in my opinion. I think it was really fantastic, honestly. I really enjoyed how they captured that feel of shows like this during that time, because because like with each decade, they've had their certain style with shows, and this is definitely what a 90s type sitcom was styled back into the day. And I think they really captured it well, honestly. It was really great.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like every other episode, they did a really good job of really just paying as much tribute to this as possible. You could really tell they did their research here. But getting more into this episode, I think the big thing to really talk about is, we can tell from very early on that Quicksilver has seemingly arrived, but there's something off about him. He's a lot more snarkier. He seems to be a lot more of just this goofy type sidekick, and it's jarring to Wanda. But at the same time, she wants to believe that this is her Pietro. She wants to believe that this is her version of Quicksilver when it's very clearly not. The way he's going about things, it's just, you can tell there's something off about him. Something that people pointed out right off the bat is when Tommy is narrating, he almost gives this look like he can tell he's speaking to the audience. And I think that right off the bat shows there's something weird going on here. But what did you think of, because I'm sure that was the thing we were all looking forward to, like, what did you think of the way that they portrayed Quicksilver in this episode?
I can't lie. I when we were watching when the intro was playing, I kind of forgot about Quicksilver, but when he shows up at like the end of the intro, I'm like, oh shit, that's right. So I was curious to see how he was going to fit into this. And and like you said, this is not like the Quicksilver we've seen beforehand, like you say, he's much more snarkier. He's much more is uptight, kind of. I don't know if uptight's the word.
Sardonic, I would say.
Yeah. He's just like, he's not like the Pietro that Wanda once knew. So, so there's definitely, a big difference there, and I am really enjoying because he's playing the typical fun uncle like type role that you would usually see in these type of sitcoms. And I thought it was really great. I really liked it a lot, honestly. He fit in really, really well with this, and I quite enjoyed it a lot, honestly. I really liked where his character was at during this, and it just makes me, especially with things he does towards the end of the episode, it just makes me think, what is this Quicksilver, if he even is Quicksilver? What is like this person's main objective in this whole ordeal?
Right. I think they did a really good job of showing us that very sort of goofy and, like I said, almost snarky personality that we know that this version of Quicksilver has in the X-Men films, but then also give us this very sort of eerie quality. And Evan Peters did such a great job with that, because you can tell there's something off about him. The way that he's asking Wanda very hard questions throughout this episode, and she asks him the same questions, and he doesn't seem to have an answer to them. Like, she's asking him where his accent went and, how he did everything, where his place is and all this. He doesn't answer really any of these questions. You can tell there's something not right. The way he's recalling a memory, and it's so lighthearted and fun. And Wanda's like, yeah, no, that's not the way it worked. You can tell she's starting to she's starting to care a lot less about the superficial side of all of this. Because with Pietro, this is someone that she can be real with. He knows who she is. He knows everything about her. At least the Pietro that she knows knew everything about her, and she feels like she doesn't have anything to hide from him. And so I think it was really refreshing getting to see Wanda have someone that she could be open with throughout the entire episode, even if I think it's pretty clear his agenda is not the same as hers here.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just, and it's so, because I had a feeling this was going to happen in the show, and just now seeing it unfold, and it's gonna get even wilder as it goes in these last 3 episodes. I'm very intrigued with this, because Wanda is being very suspicious of things. She's starting to not really care much anymore of what the fuck she does, in all honesty. Like, she really doesn't. She's starting to just be like, this is my world, and I want things to be the way that they want to be. And it just oh boy. Damn, it was really great, honestly.
Yeah, she's really starting to crack in that way, and you can really see that throughout this episode. And I think that's why someone like Pietro, she's really latching onto in this episode, because again, like I said, she can be raw with him and give him those answers, because she claims that she didn't know that this was going to happen. She just wanted to find a way to preserve Vision, because as we know, she stole Vision's body from this facility, and she's put him into this this universe of sorts. And we kind of suspected it last week, but it's clear that she is not really as in control of things as we thought. And my thing is, and I said this last week, I don't think this is Quicksilver at all. I think this is someone masquerading as Quicksilver to give her this false sense of security so she can...
No, I don't mean to interrupt, but I pretty much agree. Yeah, I don't think this is Quicksilver either. I know a lot of people have like a ton of theories about like this and stuff, but I really don't think this is Quicksilver. I do think there's some sort of bigger mastermind plan behind all of this. I really don't think this is Quicksilver at all. There's something more behind this.
Yeah, especially like the way he's so careless throughout the episode, you know, when she's bringing up things that should really alarm him, should really, you know, maybe it should really get some sort of emotion out of him, and he's just kind of passing it off. I mean, you can tell there's just, it's similar to the first, when we were first introduced to Monica and we could sense that she wasn't supposed to be there. I don't think he's supposed to be here either. I think he has a clear villainous intent, and I'm not entirely sure what it is yet, but I think we're already starting to see the unraveling of it all. I think next week we're really going to get confirmation on what's really up with him.
Technically this week.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, definitely. Now, the other big thing to talk about, though, in this episode is that, as we know, at the end of last week, you know, Vision and Wanda are pretty much on completely separate trajectories at this point. They are really not doing things together anymore. His whole mission is completely separate from hers. She just wants, again, that lighthearted, fun mission where it's just her taking Tommy and Billy out for trick-or-treating during Halloween and things like that. Whereas Vision, his whole mission is that he wants to try to save everyone from Westview. He knows that Wanda has imprisoned them somehow, and he wants to do what he can to try to rescue everyone. And this is a Vision that I think Paul Bettany, you know, as good as Elizabeth Olsen was, I think Paul Bettany was absolutely the standout of this episode for me. I loved what he ended up doing here, the way that he was just in full savior mode, but the way you can tell he's also so increasingly scared of what's going on. He doesn't have a full understanding of the world around him. I mean, we've mentioned this before, Double Nine, but like, this was a straight up like horror show, the way everyone was just like frozen in time and things like that. What did you think of that whole like sequence?
I think the Vision stuff was by far my favorite thing about this episode, in all honesty, because like just seeing, like, because he's starting to notice things, like when we see him looking at the woman that's like kind of hanging up stuff, and we see the teardrop, and he's like, oh shit, terrifying. What's happening here, you know? Because, you know, that's what usually in these sitcoms, usually they're just background characters, you know, it's stuff for the background. So it's like, it's very horrifying to see, in all honesty. And then when he goes around to the neighborhood and stuff like that, he just sees everyone frozen. He's like, you know, what are you doing here? What are you supposed to like do and stuff like that? They just
It's similar to Herb in that third episode when he was like trimming the hedges, and like, you know, Vision was like, why do you just keep trimming? It's because they can't stop, and we very much see that here.
Yeah, and they're just frozen. That's what they're supposed to be. It's just background characters. Yep. And it's like very horrifying, because it's like, you know, most of these are kids like that you see in this. So it's really horrifying to witness, in all honesty. Like, it's just, I thought that whole thing with Vision, and like you said, Paul Bettany is really great in this. I thought he did a really great job in this episode. And I thought the Vision stuff, honestly, was probably my favorite thing about this whole episode.
Yeah, I think the great thing they're doing with Vision here is that now that Vision has gone rogue, in a sense, we're getting to see a very different side of Vision, where he really is someone that is so determined to save everyone. He is, you know, so also increasingly afraid of everything that's around him, and we really haven't gotten to see something quite like this before, and I really love the way that Bettany is tapping into that. But obviously, the big moment of this episode has to, with Vision at least, has to be when he is led to Agnes, because he sees that Agnes is among the few that appear to be completely frozen. But as we've always suspected, again, I don't believe that Agnes is what she says she is. You know, they weren't able
to she's fucking playing with them. Like they're like you know how she's making this whole thing of like, oh, I have a family. No, I don't believe it for one fucking minute.
We haven't even seen her family, so like that alone,
I don't believe it for one jack minute. Like I just see through the bullshit with this. Like it's just and yeah, like I think she's just lying to Vision. I think like she was just telling her. I feel like she was just telling Vision these things so he would go out and do that thing and just create a whole big more fucking ruckus. And it's just, you know, so like because like we've been mentioning throughout these all these reviews is we think that she has something bigger planned, and it just keeps on. I feel like with each episode that just keeps on adding more and more and more, you know, like, and I feel like that's going to continue until we get some sort of revelation in one of these episodes. And
yeah,
you know,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I don't believe what she's saying for 1 minute. There's something, she has something more in planned.
Yeah, because I mean, when he was doing the thing that he did with, you know, with what's his face, when he with Norm, when he was trying to, you know, save him there, and he, you know, put his hands on her mind, and then it seemingly brought her back to reality in a sense. Norm was not acting in the way that Agnes was. Agnes was like panicky. Norm was very panicky. Norm was asking where his children was, but he wasn't recognizing Vision as one of the Avengers. He wasn't saying, you know, do you know who you are and all this stuff. And so
that was another thing. That was another thing.
Yes.
Like she blatantly points out that he's an Avenger and that he's dead. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and that alone tells you, like, there's some information that she knows that I think a lot of people do not know at this point. And it's like, how do you know this information? Why do you know this information? Why are you telling him these things? So I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I think she was absolutely tricking him here. And I think Kathryn Hahn did such a great job in this scene, because you can look at it as maybe she is being legit, but then you can also look at it as, oh no, Agnes is clearly, you know, it's too much of a bait and switch, especially the way that she goes from doing that to just being like, okie dokie neighbor. Like there's no possible way that she is, you know, on the same level as everyone else. She also wasn't doing the same thing as everyone else was. You know, she wasn't frozen in a sense. She was just kind of like sitting in a car talking to, you know, Vision. So again, there's clearly something off with her. I think, again, we're going to get it revealed in the next episode for sure. And I cannot wait to see what more Agnes is really hiding. Because again, she clearly does have some deeper plan here. And I think that scene for me, besides the ending, was absolutely the highlight of the entire episode. We've kind of been waiting for the scene to happen. You know, we saw it a lot in the trailer where she, you know, he's like, why do, you know, where she's like, am I dead? And he's like, why would you think that? And she's like, because you are. We knew that was coming, but just to finally see how it was approached here, I mean, this really drives Vision to like his full-on breaking point here. And you really do get to see that.
Yeah, and then when it leads to him doing the thing, you know, like, I guess we might as well just go right into it, because really, it's literally
he ends up leaving. Yeah, he ends up trying to leave the Westview anomaly entirely. He goes through it, but as we see, he starts to like basically just peel away. What we feared was going to happen with Vision when he leaves this, you know, when he leaves this portal is exactly what ended up happening. Once he leaves the energy field, you know, suddenly he's like almost like falling apart. It's almost like what happened when Thanos, you know, when Wanda had to kill him in Infinity War. He's just combusting very slowly, but still his whole message is helping the people. And I think the big thing to note here is while all this is going on, Hayward is doing jack shit. He is just letting this happen. He doesn't care the Vision is dying. He doesn't care the Vision is like falling apart and peeling away. He almost wants to let it happen. And that alone tells you, like, yeah, Hayward is clearly not what, you know, the guy that's going to save them. If anything, he just wants to make things worse. And I think we definitely got to see that this week just throughout that scene alone.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because he's another guy we've been talking about that has much more of an agenda than a lot of the other characters, and like you just see that he's just letting him die, just letting him peel away and fucking die, and and it was just a really because like you've said, it was a scene we've been waiting for a little bit. And we were wondering, what's going to happen once Vision tries to leave the portal, and we see that he's peeling away, he's dying. We figured this is what was going to happen because without the Mind Stone, he can't really do he can't do anything. So we just see him peeling away and just dying. And it's really horrifying to watch, in all honesty, because he's literally just fucking each of his parts of him is just peeling away.
Right, yeah, and we don't really know, what ends up happening there. We'll get to and this, of course, leads to the ending of this episode, where two big events occur through this. One is we get to see that Tommy and Billy's powers are finally starting to manifest. We see that Tommy's powers are very clearly the Quicksilver, where he's very fast and he's able to steal all that candy and things like that, whereas Billy has this telekinetic ability where he's almost linked to Vision, and he can tell that there's something off about Vision. And I think that's going to play a huge role into the next two episodes. And what did you think of getting to see that, getting to see their powers? How do you feel this is going to lead into the narrative overall?
Oh, it should be very interesting, especially with Billy with his telekinesis. I think telekinesis. Yes. It's very interesting because he probably might be he might be in the lines with Vision and knowing maybe trying to put the pieces together of what's actually going on, and I'm very curious to see where that goes in the next few episodes, in all honesty, because now they're fully powered, the both of them, and I'm curious to see how that plays out in the rest of these episodes, in all honesty.
Yeah, and then, of course, it leads to the big moment where Wanda realizes, oh shit, Vision's escaping. She can't let that happen. She expands the entire Westview anomaly, sucking up a bunch of the characters that we've come to know on the outside of it, including Darcy herself, which is going to be amazing to watch. I can't wait to see the way that ends up playing out. But that's really what we get in terms of that big event. And this was something that, I did tell you, Double Nine, that I knew a spoiler already. I did know about Vision trying to come out of Westview. I did not know about her expanding the entire thing, but I think it's safe to say, some shit really is about to go down next week, and I think this is going to just, up the momentum in terms of what's really going on here. The way that she expanded everything, and again, it's done in such a horrific style with, these sword agents. 1 second they're trying to run through the base and trying to, get a handle of what's going on. The next second they're literally clowns. And very appropriate that government agents are clowns, but still at the same time, it's really kind of horrifying to watch. And the way that whole sequence was done was just so masterfully handled, and I cannot wait to see where they're going to go with that in the next few episodes. All right. we will give him some time with whatever it is that he's doing.
Sorry, I did not expect Kevin to stop talking. I thought he was gonna go on for a little bit while I was texting my mom back. But anyways, no, yeah. Her expanding the whole, she fucking expands that shit. Yeah. It's just it was very intense to watch, because we're also seeing Monica and my homeboy Jimmy Woo fucking driving off. It was really intense. I'm like, oh yeah. Shit, they gotta try to get away from this. It was really great. It was really horrifying, but also really fantastic sequence. I really enjoyed it a lot. And then I'm really curious to see where this goes. I'm very, very excited to see where this goes next, because, oh boy, they have a lot more ground to play with now, I guess, I'm really curious to see where this goes into episode 7. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and that definitely is, like I said, I think the big moment of this episode. I think it's the thing that is only going to make things crazier from here on out, and I cannot wait to see where they're going to go with that. But the other big thing to talk about is what's going on outside of Westview. You know, we briefly touched upon it with Hayward, but we really do get to see just how divided Monica and Hayward are on this situation. Monica is again, she wants to help Wanda, almost like an Obi-Wan in a sense. A lot of people have compared it to Revenge of the Sith, with Obi-Wan wanting to help Anakin, whereas you see that Hayward, he just wants to kill her. He just wants to flat out kill her. He feels that's the only way to get to the bottom of this. But Monica brings up a good point where she's like, we don't know what's going to happen if we kill Wanda. What happens to Westview? What happens to everything else? What really does end up happening there? And again, you can tell that there's just something deeper with Hayward. I mean, we find out this week that he ended up sampling her blood, which she obviously did not know about. And there's a lot more that really is going on there. Where do you think this is really heading towards in terms of Hayward overall?
I'm very, I honestly, there's just there really is a lot that could go down with this. Monica's trying to be the reasonable one in this. She's trying to find the peace in all this. She's trying to, she's trying to communicate with Wanda. She's not trying to be her enemy, but fucking Hayworth just keeps on sticking his big fat fucking head and keeps on fucking causing more problems. Yes. And it's very interesting to see where this goes, in all honesty, because the only ones that didn't get sucked into that portal were Hayworth, Monica, and Jimmy. So it's interesting to see now, because now all of them are limited of crew members. So, and
ironically, Monica was trying to come back into Westview. So the fact that she's the only one not in there is really interesting.
Exactly. So I'm very curious to see how this will play out too in the next few episodes, especially in episode 7. I am curious to see how that is handled, and I really want to see where that goes next, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing what they're going to do. And it's going to be interesting for Monica, too, because they reference how, her cells are changing on, some molecular level. So I could see maybe, I think by the end of the show, she's going to be changed as a character, maybe have some kind of, ability or something like that. I could definitely see them going there for sure, because we know that moving forward, she's going to play a big role into this phase. And so I'm excited to see the way all of that does play out. And again, I think the thing I'm most interested in is just Darcy being in this part of the world. I mean, they've hinted that Kat Dennings has some sort of weird costume change in this show. And considering that next week is the 2000s, I mean, there really anything could happen there. I mean, she could show up as her character from Two Broke Girls for all we know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of possibilities for what they do with Darcy, but I'm actually really excited to see what they end up doing with that most out of everything, just because, again, Darcy's been this character that I think they've done a really good job with in this show, and especially now that she was the only person to actually witness what was going on with Vision and wanted to help him. She was the only one in that situation that's like, yeah, you're not just gonna let him stay there and die. You need to go help him. I think it's going to create some sort of connection between her and Vision. I'm excited to see how that does play out for sure.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how she'll play into the whole. And we also have to realize she was us. She was the audience.
Yes.
Now she's the one being sucked into the whole series now.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm curious to see how she will play into with the whole sitcom. I'm very curious to see that also. So I'm really excited about that too. I'm really excited about where we're going to head into with this next episode.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they end up going with that. And I guess the only other thing to talk about is the commercial this week. Very interesting commercial, because it really was the first commercial that was not funny in any way. This was a very dark and
fucking yikes.
Very fucked up commercial. Yeah, the way this turned out. I think what this is really trying to hint at is that, Wanda is trying to change everything, but what she can't change is the fact that Vision is dead, and there isn't anything that she can really do about that. She has this power, but that's the one hindrance that she doesn't have, is that Vision is really dead, and she's almost like working herself to death in that way. And I think that's kind of what that commercial was really hinting at.
Yeah, like this commercial is like, it was a very 90s style commercial with like the claymation and like how they were like, it was a very 90s style commercial, but God, was it fucking horrifying, because literally like we see this kid on this island like fucking die, like
he's literally he's like starving, and then he gets this yogurt that he can't fucking open, and then he just dies.
like it's like, I was like, damn, like they went really dark with that. Like, so it was just like, so it is very much of like, it was very, like, Wanda trying to fix Vision, but he's dead. There's nothing she can fix about that. He's dead. Like, you can't bring back the dead. And I really thought this was the honest to God, even though as dark as it was, it probably is my favorite commercial so far, in all honesty.
I think so too, because every single week they've done such a good job of making these commercials feel more and more important and really give you a better idea of like what's going on in the story. And I think with this one, they really just did a great job at kind of showing us like where we're really going here, kind of showing us that like Wanda is so powerful, but the one thing that she is not in control of is, Vision's body, the fact that he is going to die. And I think it's hinting at a very dark and depressing ending for this series, which I think we always knew, but I think this is confirming it more than ever.
Oh, for sure. They're like, there ain't no way the series is not ending on a depressing note. There isn't no way. And if anything, this commercial is really putting that even more towards it.
Yeah, definitely. So that's really everything going on in terms of events for this episode. But getting into the directing here, I mean, again, we got to applaud we got to applaud Matt Shakman here. I mean, he's just doing such a good job at, especially in this episode, taking that sitcom tone and making it a lot more horrifying, giving us this very bleak feel throughout the entire episode, moments that are even lighthearted. I was almost thrown off at first by how lighthearted things were with like Quicksilver's antics and everything. So once we get to the stuff with Vision, he did such a great job of setting all of that up. So here it really just feels like such a smooth transition into, again, a legit horror show. And I love his directing throughout this entire episode. Just really great stuff overall. We talk about every single week, but again, the fact that he is helming every single episode directing wise, I mean, it's no easy feat, especially with tones constantly changing and, different eras every episode can be very hard to do all of that. And he is just doing such a phenomenal job. And I think this was maybe his strongest episode directing wise yet.
Yeah, I really thought his directing was really great here. He really did like he's done a really good, we do mention it every week, but he does do a really great job of balancing these very lighthearted moments with these much more horrifying and more scary moments. And I think he does a really great job with that, honestly. Like, he really does a fantastic job with handling that, because, when you're dealing with stuff like this, sometimes like directors don't really know how to handle it, and it becomes a mess. But here, I think it works very well, and I think he does a really good job with it. Also, I really loved how I spoke upon it earlier in the review, but I really do love how this episode captures the 90s. I think from the tone to just the wacky antics, I think it just captures a feel of a 90s sitcom really well, even down to the costumes that these kids wear for Halloween. It's very 90s in the way that these costumes.
And the costumes were comics accurate. Those are the costumes they were in the comics, which I thought was really cool.
So it was great. I thought they did a really fantastic job with that. They really do. We also say this every single week, but they do really know how to capture the decades of these time periods throughout these episodes really well. And this is no exception. This ain't no exception to the rule. They really do capture the 90s really well, and it made my love for the 90s and my 90s heart swell up very much. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, just overall, I think we pretty much summed up, what we really loved about this episode. This was just another, I think, really great episode for this show. It did a really good job of furthering us into, what's really going on, really dividing Wanda and Vision in a really interesting way, showing how they really are at different, they have very different goals at this point, and leading us on a cliffhanger that truly is going to change things even further than we thought it was going to. This show continues to top itself every single week in terms of chaos, and I think they did such a great job with that in this episode. I will say I do wish this episode was just a tad bit longer, so we could have maybe gotten to see a little bit more of this part of WandaVision overall. I think they could have done a little bit more, but overall, I think this was still a very, very strong episode for sure. I think there was a lot of things that this episode did very well. And so for me, I'm definitely giving this episode of WandaVision.
Wait, change the background.
Oh, shit, you're right. All right. I'm giving this episode of WandaVision, episode 6, all new Halloween Spooktacular overall in A-.
Overall, I thought this was a pretty great episode. Like I said, I really loved the we're getting much more into much more horrifying territory, oddly enough, with the Halloween episode. And I think it was a really great episode overall. I really enjoyed this a lot. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes thus far. And I think I'm gonna give this episode an A, in all honesty. All right, there we go, and there we go. All right, we're back.
Right. And with that, guys, we are done for this. And with that, guys, we are done here. That really is everything going on within this week's WandaVision. Gonna be a crazy episode next week for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The way things really do turn out. But before we do end things off here, I am going to give you a chance to do, your outro, all that kind of stuff, because that's what we do around here for some reason. But go ahead.
Yeah, get your ass out of here. It's my show now, bitch. Anyways, but yeah, you can find me on my Twitter at FilmFan0599. You can find me also there on TikTok at FilmFan0599, where you will see nothing but Jimmy Woo TikToks. It's very, very blessed. And you can also find me on my YouTube channel, FilmFan0599, and you can find me on my letterbox. Wait, what?
This again.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, WWE Fan0599 letterbox for Christ's sake, please just let me change my username. I shouldn't have to pay to change my username. Okay, God damn it! I say this every week. When will you learn?
They just want to fuck you over, in the way that everyone else feels trapped.
Life fucks me over every single day, so I'm kind of used to it at this goddamn point.
In the way that everyone in Westview feels trapped, they want you to feel trapped with that username. But anyways, guys,
you always have to make a pun. Like, you always have to tie in. Like,
yes. We got to segue it back. We got to bring it back here.
Jesus.
But anyways, guys, for our review of this week's episode of WandaVision, as always, guys, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought of this week's episode, all your theories, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Go fuck yourself.